Welcome back to Silverstone, everybody, for your second dose of Ginetta racing this afternoon. The Ginetta Juniors were out entertaining us a few hours ago, and now it is the turn of the Ginetta GT Championship and GT Academy Championship drivers, who are for the first time ever sharing a grid at the beginning of the 2026 season. The sun continues to beat down on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Perfect conditions for racing, perfect conditions for the sizable Silverstone crowd to enjoy, and hopefully 25 minutes of action-packed racing to come from Ginetta's two most powerful categories of car, and certainly in the Ginetta GT Championship, arguably its highest profile series as well. The marshals have been out in force, as always they are this weekend, and well, I say perfect conditions for racing, perfect conditions for spectators, perfect conditions for enjoying an ice cream maybe trackside. The marshals don't get that luxury. They've got a lot of work to do, and whether they are trackside or in the pit lane, they have been slowly baking on what is, for this time of year, a very, very warm day, and they'll all be back again tomorrow, full of enthusiasm and ready to do it all again. So we extend our most heartfelt thanks, as always we should, to the Orange Army, who have had a few incidents to deal with across our various on-track activities today. Hopefully, though, a clean race to round things out on day one of this Silverstone 500 weekend, as the Ginettas roll from the grid onto their formation lap. So, as I said, sharing the grid for the first time, the GT and GT Academy drivers, which means we've got a big grid and lots of different classes to try and keep you abreast of, because not only do you have a GT Championship and a GT Academy Championship battle to watch out for, but there are also subclasses within each of those categories. So Pro and Am, for example, in the Ginetta GT Championship, and then we've got the Rookie and GTA class within GT Academy. More on that a little bit later. For now, though, this is how the grid lines up. It is Cameron Pratt-Thompson who claimed pole position this morning for SVG Motorsport. Felix Livesey, who graduates from Ginetta Juniors, starts alongside him. Then it is former Carter William Antrobus, who's got Harry Gamble for company on Road 2. Harry, remember, third overall last year. James Nicholas graduates from Academy into GT Championship, starts fifth alongside Louis Darling, with Jamie Cordell, who was our GTA class champion last year, starting seventh alongside Alex Duncan. Row 5 for Elliot Foster for MDD Motorsport, and Lucy Hodgson, who's graduating again to the GT Championship after 2 seasons in GT Academy. Then we get into the GT Academy field itself, and it's Luis Belique who starts on pole position alongside Ian Beaumont. Joseph Ostholf is next alongside Tom Walker on the second row of the grid, whilst former Fiesta driver Connor Blackburn has Maxwell Waithman for company on row 3. Row 4, Will Fallon and Ben Wiseman, with Alan Wright returning to GT Academy for another season, starting alongside Lucas Theo. Then Faye Goff, who is the sister of Ginetta Junior Championship leader Lewis Goff. She has Julian Wantling, very experienced Ginetta driver, alongside, with Ash Young and Ben Cook making up the penultimate row of the grid. Robin Grimwood back for another season of Ginetta Academy racing at the back of the field. So 25 minutes the journey, and a rolling start as well to kick things off here. So the Lotus safety car leads the field around. It is, of course, the GT cars that start at the front, the more powerful Ginettas, powered by their 6.2 litre V8 engines, producing just under 400 brake horsepower. They are likely to get away from the GT Academy cars, although a couple of the Academy drivers were pretty pacey in qualifying this morning, and we might well see them try and tag along with the GT cars, which, remember, run on slick tyres. The Academy cars on a Pirelli road tyre, so you could put that tyre on your road car if you wanted, and they will yield plenty of grip, but not quite as much grip, of course, as a full racing slick. 2x2 they run, a bit of a gap between the two classes as they round Brooklands Corner. The silver, orange and blue car number 37, that is Cameron Pratt-Thompson, who was runner-up in the Junior Saloon Car Championship a few years ago, raced in this category last year, got himself a couple of podium finishes, and now gunning maybe for a maiden victory in the championship, whilst Felix Livesey did just one race in the GT Championship last year. After a full season campaign in juniors, he did the Donington Park finale and was a top 10 finisher. So some new blood on the front row, some more experienced drivers, at least in Ginetta racing from behind. A fascinating opening race of the season in prospect then, as the Ginetta GT Championship and GT Academy Championships prepare to burst into life. 2x2 to the line they come, the red lights go out now, and we're away and racing in 2026. Pretty even start for both of the front row starters across both of the classes. Actually, it's door handle to door handle for the lead into Copse Corner, and Felix Livesey tries to sweep right around the outside to claim the lead away from Cameron Pratt-Thompson. Has he managed it? I think they're still side by side. They are, and that is Harry Gamble in the Elite Motorsport car coming with him. Cameron Pratt-Thompson does lose the lead then to Felix Livesey, who was supremely confident into Maggots and Beckett, and gets first position away. Gamble is wide. There might have been a touch there with Cameron Pratt-Thompson, and he bounces over the grass through the runoff area and loses quite a bit of ground as a result. Rejoins alongside William Antrobus, who I think has lost a bit of ground from where he started. So Livesey leads, Pratt-Thompson second, third position then is Louis Darling, and into fourth place does go Antrobus, fifth now for Alex Duncan, and Harry Gamble still out in the weeds, picking up all of that discarded rubber off the racing line, but does not yield enough grip, and so he's really struggling on this opening lap. In GT Academy land, by the way, it is, I think, still the pole sitter Luis Bilique who has the lead. He was the winner of PT Autosport's Aspiring Driver Shootout over in America over the winter. Got himself a place on the grid. He leads, I believe, still from the number 13 of Ian Beaumont, although no, Beaumont actually has slipped back, hasn't he, slightly? That's Joseph Ostoltov, who is into second position. It's three wide then for third, and there's contact into Abbey Corner, and around goes Conor Blackburn off towards the gravel trap. I think that might have broken the left rear suspension on the 66 car. Certainly the car spat sideways very quickly. There's another car stationary and others rejoining, but we might now have two drivers out of the race after that three wide exchange into Abbey Corner. Can't quite spot the number. Oh, it's that's Faye Goff, isn't it? I think Faye Goff not sadly continuing in the footsteps of her brother, who's done all of the winning so far in Ginetta Juniors this year. Looks like Faye's race might be over. That's a move made by Harry Gamble, who manages to nip up the inside of the number 27 car of Alex Duncan into Brooklands. The fight back begins then for Gamble, who started on the outside of the front row, but outside of the second row, I should say, but found himself too wide, and Beckett's losing ground. Now has it all to do again. The safety car then is scrambled, and a lively opening lap of racing comes to a conclusion, and that is Conor Blackburn trudging away through the gravel trap. He was on the inside. I'm sure we'll get another look at this, but Conor Blackburn was on the inside of two of the cars, and there just wasn't the space into such a fast but still quite tight corner at Abbey. I'm not sure exactly how Faye Goff got involved, although she's now continuing, isn't she? So Faye Goff able to get the car fired back up and hopefully no real damage done. There's Conor. That's a real shame. I was excited to see how Conor Blackburn would do in GT Academy, his first season racing rear-wheel drive cars. He got the run, didn't he, on the two cars ahead going into Abbey. 21 is Tom Walker, 13 is Ian Beaumont. And there's just a touch on the way in between he and Walker. Beaumont takes avoiding action. Now, where does Faye Goff arrive on the scene? That must have been a secondary incident, possibly as other cars were slowing for the yellow flags. Maybe there was a bit of a trip up, because look, there is Faye Goff's car pointing the right direction. Could have been an issue of some other kind, I don't know, but anyway, she has continued, and Conor Blackburn's car sadly beached in the gravel. So two of our GT Academy drivers in strife. Faye Goff has not yet made it round to the end of the lap, so I can't tell you whether she's continuing or whether she's bailing for the pit lane or not. At the front of the GT Championship field, it is Felix Livesey who leads the way. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, the pole sitter, second. Louis Darling in third position, with William Antrobus fourth and Harry Gamble fifth. There is Faye Goff. So Goff did continue. There's no obvious sign of damage on the car either, at least not on the left-hand side. We'll maybe get a shot of the right-hand side at some point and check that out, but she seems to be continuing at speed to catch up to the tail end of the pack. Top five then in the Ginetta GT Championship portion of the race, all pro drivers. Then you've got the AMs, they're led by Alex Duncan. James Nicholas is an AM, as is Jamie Cordell. They remember battle for the GT Academy Championship last year in a thrilling season-long campaign, and they have once again found each other out on circuit, second and third respectively in AM, ahead of the number 3 of Elliot Foster and the 44 of Lucy Hodgson. It is Bilique who leads in the GT Academy portion of the race, from Ostoltov and Walker second and third. And for Joseph Ostoltov single-seater racer in the USA previously. He leads his class as well, which I believe is the GTA category. Yes, it is, with Bilicki listed as a rookie. And yeah, just Connor Blackburn then, who sadly we've lost from the race. Will take a lap or two to clear the car out of the gravel trap. Good job then, really, that these races are 5 minutes longer than the juniors. There's Alex Duncan, AM leader in the GT Championship class. And Alex Duncan, who was running in Pro-Am, I believe, last year, but we've simplified things for this year, just a Pro and an AM class. And former Carter, Alex Duncan, taking well to the GT car in this first race of the season. There is Joseph Stoltov, who the American driver is leading his class. The left rear tyre of Blackburn's car is off the rim, so that's what happened, that tiny touch. And it wasn't a significant hit by any means, but it was enough to just pick the tyre off the rim. And obviously he lost control as a result of that, so that's a shame. Every cloud though, at least there's no major damage done to the car from what I could see. I feared at first that it was a broken toe link or something like that, but he is able to continue on into tomorrow's race, hopefully, with the team not required to put in a graveyard shift to get the car ready. Quick hose down, get the gravel out from places where it shouldn't be. The car should be good to go for tomorrow's second race. So the Lotus safety car then leads the field down the Hanger Straight. Bit of bodywork there on the road. Now, whose car's that from? Is that down at Abbey Corner, or have we had other dramas potentially? Yes, it is down at Abbey, I'm hearing. So a little bit of bodywork left in the road. There's the 51 car heading through shot, and that is Jamie Cordell. Great to have Jamie and James Nicholas both moving up into the GT Championship this year. That was a fantastic battle between the two of them last season. And James Nicholas at the moment getting the better of Jamie Cordell. Nicholas was the Palmer Sport Scholarship winner a couple of seasons ago, having never raced before. He got his race licence just weeks before the start of what would have been the 2024 season. Got himself onto the GT Academy grid, won his debut race, which was remarkable at Alton Park, and then went on a real learning experience. It's a bit of a shame, really. He came out of those 2 seasons without ever claiming the overall championship. He was a title contender both years, but moved now up into the AM class within the GT Championship, and I think will definitely be in the championship conversation there as we move through the season. So I see no reason as to why the lights won't be extinguished on that Lotus safety car imminently. I would hope we'll get a restart this time, and possibly heading out onto the Wellington Straight at the beginning of the final sector of the lap. The lights might go out, he says, hopefully. Yep, there we go, right on cue. And Felix Livesey now has another challenge on his hands, a safety car restart to execute. Was supremely confident on cold tyres at the start of the race. Now, what's he going to do on the restart? He looked like almost he was going early, but no, he has slowed the field down again as they turn into Brooklands. You've got to be careful doing that. If you're deemed to have accelerated and then slowed dramatically, that can lead to a penalty. I think he was all right there. And he's going to wait and wait and wait, make sure the safety car's got plenty of distance between you and it, which has happened, and he now accelerates off the field corner, and that, I have to say, is a pretty good restart. He's gapped Cameron Pratt-Thompson, who immediately falls under pressure from Louis Darling in 3rd position. So Darling, I think, is about to have a go here into Cox corner, forces Pratt-Thompson to defend the inside line, and will try and sweep wide on the way in, tight on the way out, and carry the speed down towards Maggots and Beckett. It's not quite enough, though, on this occasion to get alongside. Screeching of tyres behind is nothing to be concerned about. That's just those Pirelli road tyres being pushed to their absolute limits by the GT Academy field. No such dramas, though, for the GT Championship drivers, who negotiate Maggots and Beckett for the first time back at racing speed. And there, the back of the GT brigade is Lucy Hodgson. Black and orange car, and then the next black, white and orange car, that is Bilicki, the GT Academy leader. Challenge on for 2nd place here, as Louis Darling again forces a defensive move out of Cameron Pratt-Thompson. This is all playing into the hands of Livesey, who is really now reaping the rewards of that bold move on the opening lap, because he's got the track position advantage and everyone else behind left to do battle, qualifying, he was only a 1/10 of a second slower than Cameron Pratt-Thompson, in fairness. There was nothing to choose between them after that session. Now, though, just a little bit of real estate between the top two cars, as again Cameron forced to drive in his mirrors a little bit down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight into Abbey Corner. And they hit the brakes into Village, and a move made by William Antrobus there at the inside of Louis Darling, and there's contact. Around goes Darling from third position, and he's back into the middle of the road. Let's hope everyone behind has their wits about them and can avoid colliding with his stricken car, which I think might have stalled as well, just to add to his woes. Yet now gets going again, thank goodness. It was something that looked suspiciously like an overtake going on in the background into what was very much a yellow flag zone. But hopefully that didn't actually lead to a change of position. So Louis Darling then, who half a lap ago was challenging for second, now finds himself buried amongst the GT Academy class cars with plenty of work to do. So William Antrobus then, who was a karter, successful karter, actually finished second in the Junior Road Tax Championship within the British Karting Championship events a couple of years ago, raced Mazda MX-5s occasionally last year, getting his elbows out there and moving into third position in fairly robust fashion. 53 here is Ash Young, trying to keep Robin Grimwood at bay. Robin Grimwood entered into the Chairman's Cup again this year for drivers over the age of 45, or at the very least 45 at the start of the season, or sorry, who will turn 45 during the season. He's been in that class for a few years now, always a front runner in it. Runs, at the moment, they're only 8th place in the Chairman's Cup. 23rd overall. Battle continues on, back to the GT part of the race. Number 7, in fact, no, sorry, I'm talking absolute nonsense. That was the number 7 of Lucas Theo, who is still well within the GT Academy class. This is the battle within the GT Championship, and Cameron Pratt-Thompson, now that he's no longer having to defend from Louis Darling after his spin just under a lap ago, has now been able to close right back in on Felix Livesey. This is going to be an interesting battle. Like I said, nothing to choose between them in qualifying. And the SVG Motorsport driver Cameron Pratt-Thompson really wants to try and get that lead back. Looks quicker at this stage of the race. He set the fastest lap last time by actually only a fraction quicker than Livesey, but this time around, 1/10.5 faster in Sector 1, a bit quicker in Sector 2 as well. And he's now asking all the right questions of the race leader, who gets sideways at the loop. But Felix Livesey opened the steering out, kept the power down, and was able to carry some good momentum onto the Wellington Straight. You can see, though, that he's driving in his mirrors. Didn't use all of the road there through Aintree. And now might be under attack into the braking zone. Cameron Pratt-Thompson commits to a move, gets to the inside line. Livesey, though, will hang on around the outside to keep the defensive inside line for Luffield. Cameron Pratt-Thompson tries to go around the outside anyway, but didn't really find a lot of grip mid-corner. Cuts back to the late apex, tucks into the slipstream, and heads down towards Copse Corner. These very powerful cars run with remarkably little aero. You'll notice they don't have much of a rear diffuser. There's no front splitter on the cars at all, and that's all supposed to make the racing closer, and it certainly did do last year. We're seeing it again here, even on a high-speed sweeping circuit such as this one. The cars are capable of running nose to tail, and that just isn't normally the case in sort of GT spec one-make racing. Really, really exciting racing we've had from the Ginetta GT Championship of recent times, and I think this is going to be another one of those nip and tuck battles, isn't it? It will be a case for Cameron Pratt-Thompson of trying to just force a mistake out of Livesey. Livesey needs to make sure that he keeps his composure here and doesn't put a foot wrong. Third place still for William Antrobus, who's just set the fastest lap of the race. So whilst that was all going on out in front, William Antrobus might be about to invite himself to the party. He did a 2-minute 10.755. That was half a second, nearly 6/10 actually, quicker than the race leader. Of course, Livesey slowing himself down slightly by defending, but still a good lap from William. There's Alex Duncan. He's not really being challenged too much for the lead of the AM category. James Nicholas, second in that class. More concerned, I think, with keeping JB Cordell at bay. Times we said that last year. And yeah, that's a much closer battle for second place than it is for the class lead right now. Here is the overall battle for the race lead. Purple first sector for Livesey, purple second sector for Pratt-Thompson. It's that middle part of the lap where Cameron does seem to close right in on Felix Livesey. He did it a lap ago, and it nearly led to an overtake at the end of the next straight into Brooklands Corner. I don't think he's quite as close this time. And I think it might well be Antrobus now who's the quicker of the three through Sector 3. It's such a long lap, the 3.66-mile Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, that unlike the standard 3 sectors that a racetrack is normally separated into, 4 sectors in use this weekend. And yes, it was a purple 3rd sector for William Antrobus. This battle going on behind for position, actually. Lucy Hodgson there trying to close in on Elliot Foster. There is your GT Academy class leader, and this has been a dominant performance for Luis Belicke, who, for Want to Race, has quite comfortably gapped now the rest of the field. So the lead margin out slightly that time. New fastest lap now for Livesey, a 2:10.188. Lap record coming into the weekend, a 2:09.8, so we're about 0.3 of a second away from Archie Clark's lap record set a year ago at this equivalent event, which is taking place a few weeks earlier than normal. Silverstone usually the 2nd stop on the British GT calendar. It's hosting the season opener this weekend. And so in theory, we were sort of expecting slightly cooler conditions. Maybe those lap records would be beaten, but it's unseasonably warm, and that's just slowing the track down ever so slightly. There's the lap time comparison. You can see not a lot in it, but the 0.3 that Cameron Pratt-Thompson gained a lap ago, he lost last time by, although he's starting to inch back onto the tail, I think, of the race leader. He is, though, being warned about exceeding track limits, is Cameron Pratt-Thompson. So just a warning for now, and also number 51, which is Jamie Cordell, is it not? Yes, the man 3rd place in the AM class, both being warned about exceeding track limits. So you'll have to be careful not to do that again once more, and they will pick up a penalty. Into the braking zone at Village. Late on the brakes there for Cameron Pratt-Thompson. Look at the black lines that he left as he turned into the corner whilst the car wasn't really slowed down enough. That was a fantastic shot as he turned into the right-hander. There's Cordell, still running 3rd in AM. And now with this extra challenge of not exceeding track limits again, for fear of picking up at first a 5-second time penalty, and then incrementally that will go up every time you are pinged for it. So back through the stadium section at the end of the lap we come. 7.5 minutes to go, so past 2/3 race distance, about 3/4 of the way now through this 25-minute race. The first of 2 this weekend for the Ginetta GT Championship and Ginetta GT Academy Championships. The Orion SPR team hold the board aloft for Felix Livesey. Felix defending nicely. Well, I say defending, actually. Hasn't had to do a lot of actual defending. Had that one lap where Cameron Pratt-Thompson was really putting him under some pressure into Brooklands. Replay of a spin further back. GT Academy car, or was that Lucy Hodgson maybe? Yes, it was Lucy Hodgson, not a GT Academy car, who's had a rotation up at Village. That takes the pressure off Elliot Foster, with whom she was battling beforehand. And towards Brooklands comes a nice little battle pack here within GT Academy, led by the 77 car. That's Alan Wright running a new livery on that car this year, and he's nowhere near the apex through Brooklands, bounces over the exit curb, and that will mean that he's now under quite a bit of pressure from the number 7 of Lucas Theo and number 8 of Ben Wiseman. Those 3 pretty much nose to tail as they come round to the end of the lap. Alan Wright sitting 7th overall in GTA, which is 5th of the GTA class drivers. He's got 2 rookies behind him. Alan Wright's been a familiar name in this championship for a while. Didn't have the best run out of Cops Corner there, though, so I think Lucas Theo, yes, he's alongside him. That's the outside line into Beckett's, but as we saw from Felix Livesey on that one, that can be the best place to be. The car wriggling around, though, as he carried just the right amount of speed through the corner, a mile an hour faster, and I think he might have been off the road. He's still flirting with the disaster as we head through Chapel and out onto the Hangar Straight. Car really struggling for grip there, but that's or the speed with which he was negotiating the corners. But no way for Alan Wright to come back through, I don't think. No, not close enough. He thought about the inside line there into Stowe, but opted not to commit. Down through the Vale towards the club chicane. In behind them is Julian Wantling, by the way, who has, again, been racing Ginettas for a long time. Julian was the GTA class champion a couple of years ago in Ginetta GT Academy. His is the sort of bronze and black car just at the back of shot. And he's inching towards these three now as they continue to do battle. Lucas Theo then, SVG Motorsport. Team principal Andy Johnson will be watching on from the pit lane, I'm sure. And that team did claim the GT Academy Drivers' Championship in 2021, I believe. So a team that knows a thing or two about running Ginettas. And SVG looking to try and hang on at least to this position. We'll see whether they can stay there till the checkered flag. Not a great run out onto the Wellington straight though, and so Alan Wright I think is going to have a go. Gets to the outside strangely. Now the inviting gap on the inside is filled. He's late on the brakes. Remember, he missed his apex here a lap ago. That time though, absolutely nailed it. Good move by Alan Wright. And he's back into 7th position in GT Academy. Meanwhile, we've had a new fastest lap of the race overall from William Antrobus, a 2:10.027. And that is a little bit quicker, a couple of tenths quicker actually than anyone else has managed. There you can see he's been closing quite consistently on the two cars ahead. Cameron Pratt-Thompson has never really been more than about 5 or 6 tenths of a second behind Felix Livesey, but now might have to really start watching his mirrors, except he's been given a track limits penalty. He was being warned about that a while ago, was Cameron Pratt-Thompson, and he's now been given the penalty. So the second placed car you can remove from this battle in a way, but it's the constant issue, isn't it, with time penalties. Yes, for William Antrobus, the car ahead of him actually isn't ahead of him on corrected tyres, but if he's going to win the race, William, he needs to get past Cameron Pratt-Thompson in order to have a go at Felix Livesey. So the Orion SP driver is, oh my word, going to be having to work hard to get the win here. That was a big moment for Jamie Cordell, who's already been given a penalty. We were cutting to him, I think, to document that point, as he then very much exceeded track limits again at Brooklands. So Jamie Cordell with a big slide, weaving around now just to clear the dirt off the tyres, but I wonder whether he'll get pinged again now for track limits. It depends where it's being monitored, I suppose. Brooklands perhaps on the exit anyway, not necessarily somewhere where that is being watched. There's Alex Duncan, still at the head of the AM class as we're now on the penultimate lap of the race. Top 3 cars, though, covered by only a second that time around. So William Antrobus, again, was quicker than the leader by a couple of tenths, but it's now a bit static, isn't it? He's caught them, but doesn't seem to have the pace to make a move, at least not immediately. James Nicholas with a bit of a gap now over Jamie Cordell for second in the AM class. Is Nicholas catching Alex Duncan? Answer no, not on the last lap, just over a tenth of a second slower, as the leaders round club corner for the penultimate time. Bit surprised at Harry Gamble, actually, not being able to tag along with those leading 3. Harry Gamble, who was 3rd overall in this championship last year, was a regular front runner. 2nd in the rookie category within GT Academy the year before that, before moving into this championship last year. Picked up 5 race wins in 2025, did Harry Gamble, so it's a little odd that he's not quite got the ultimate front-running pace this time. But of course, drivers ahead of him, they're sort of spurring each other on a little bit, aren't they? He's just a bit detached from the battle. Antrobus has had a good run out of Aintree here. Might consider going for 2nd place into Brooklands, except Cameron Pratt-Thompson's having none of it. Covers the inside line and will not be letting him through. Felix Livesey there was slow and is still slow through Luffield. Has he got a problem? Round the outside goes Pratt-Thompson, to the inside goes Antrobus, and the race leader has a drama. So Felix Livesey slows off the final corner as we begin the final lap. What drama for the driver who's led pretty much the entire race, and the team, look, are mystified. That is absolute heartbreak for Livesey, who hadn't put a foot wrong all race, and then something happened going into the final corner, and that means that this man, William Antrobus, is now leading the race. Cameron Pratt-Thompson leads on the road, but he's got the 5-second penalty, and Livesey isn't even going to make it to the first corner. So Felix Livesey is going to notch up a non-finish in this first round of the championship, and that is something you do not see very often. Ginetta parked at the side of the road. Something has broken, and he climbs out of the car, wondering what on earth went wrong. So it will not be the dream start to the season for Felix, but William Antrobus is also run by the Orion SPR team, so they might still be on course for a dream victory. The new team to Ginetta Racing, making their Ginetta Racing debut. Sally Livesey is the team principal, and it looks as though they are still going to pick up a win, but not necessarily with the driver that they anticipated. Cameron Pratt-Thompson's SVG Motorsport prepared car might well be the first to see the checkered flag, but on corrected times it will be car 57 that picks up the win. I hope Antrobus knows about the penalty for Cameron Pratt-Thompson, because the body language of that car says that he's still pushing right to the limits, as if maybe one more overtake might net him the race win, but he doesn't need to pass the car ahead. He just needs to stay within 5 seconds of it, and I'm sure he'll do that now. Heads down the Wellington Straight. Harry Gamble will probably inherit second place. I don't think Alex Duncan will get a podium, an overall podium anyway. He'll get a AM-class podium, of course, top step of the AM-class podium, in fact. But it will be the top step of the overall podium for this man. William Antrobus, in his debut in Ginetta Racing, is going to look in to a win, or is he? His car slows. I don't believe it. His car is slow off the final corner as well. And where is Harry Gamble? There is Harry Gamble. Harry Gamble will get ahead of Antrobus at the line and win the race. Harry Gamble steals it on the run out of the final corner. Gamble the winner. Antrobus limps home to second, and Cameron Pratt-Thompson only missed out on the win in the end by 1.4 seconds after the 5-second penalty was applied. It has to be fuel maybe then for the Orion SPR cars, because the way that car just didn't accelerate off the corner, it was almost as if it was starved of fuel. Who knows? We'll try and get an answer before tomorrow. Here, meanwhile, is Lewis Belicki, who is on course for, we hope, a pretty confident and commanding win in the GT Academy class. I'm not going to call it just yet, though, because what's just happened in the GT Championship part of the race certainly came as a surprise. The PT Autosports aspiring driver shootout winner, though, the American driver, looks as though he's going to get the win. There's another car slowing now. That's Lucy Hodgson, who is another Orion SPR car. I'm not going to speculate any more on that, but that's 3 Orion cars which have seemingly ground to a halt in the final couple of laps, it would seem, with the same issue, whatever that issue is. Again, we'll try and find out overnight, but none of this is going to affect Lewis Belicki, who comes out of the final corner and is going to claim a victory on debut in the Ginetta GT Academy Championship. Across the line he goes, checker flag waves, and yes, he's made it to the line. That is good news. A dominant victory. Where is the next GT Academy driver? It will be Joseph Stoltov, who is only now across the line. There he goes. A winning margin for Belicki then of nearly 5 seconds, with third position for Walker. This was the moment Antrobus should have been preparing his winner's speech, but unfortunately the car would not accelerate off the corner, and it really does look like a car that is starved of fuel. Can't say for certain, of course, whether that's the issue, but that's what it looks like. And Harry Gamble blasted through. We've had some very close Ginetta Racing finishes over the years here at Silverstone, and that was another that changed in the final few seconds. Antrobus, though, has made it halfway round the lap, so he's made it a lot further than Felix Livesey did when his car slowed. So maybe it's not the same problem. Who knows? We'll, again, try and dig out some information on that if we can, but 3 Orion SPR cars all failing to finish after looking strong. Certainly 2 of them were in race-winning positions when they ground to a halt. So Harry Gamble wins the race. Here was me halfway through the race saying, I'm surprised Harry Gamble's not up there contesting for the win, and he ends up winning the race anyway. Harry Gamble, with a bizarre last lap turn of events, gets a victory in round number 1 of the Ginetta GT Championship, and he will pull underneath the Silverstone podium. A little bit perplexed, maybe, that he's pulling up in front of the number 1 board, but that he is. And he's joined by our AM class winner, Alex Duncan. Had a much more drama-free race, with Lewis Belicki to join them as well in the number 17 car, winner of the GT Academy class, sorry, the rookie class within GT Academy. GTA itself was won by the second place man in that class. So Harry Gamble the winner, William Antrobus second, and Cameron Pratt-Thompson third. That is not the order they crossed the line in. It's not the order we thought they were going to cross the line in either until the final few moments. Alex Duncan in fourth wins in the AM class ahead of James Nicholas, Jamie Cordell and Elliot Foster, whilst GT Academy is won by a rookie driver in that class, Lewis Bilicki, ahead of the GTA class winner Joseph Stoltoff. Then it was Tom Walker, second within that class, third overall, ahead of the second rookie home Ian Beaumont. Will Fallon was third of the GTA class drivers, ahead of Maxwell Waithman and Alan Wright, whilst Lucas Theo, buried in the midfield, still picks up a rookie class podium. Ben Wiseman was next ahead of Julian Watling and Robin Grimwood, with Ben Cook and Faye Goff completing the top 20. Faye having had that moment on the opening lap. Ash Young was the last finisher. We lost dramatically Felix Livesey from the race lead. Lucy Hodgson also slowed on the final lap, whilst Louis Darling, of course, was off the road. Connor Blackburn off the road on lap 1 down at Abbey Corner. So, where to start when it comes to summing up that race? Let's do our best, shall we, to take a look back at some of the more memorable moments of the last 25 minutes. It was a dramatic first race of the season for the Ginetta GT Championship and Ginetta GT Academy Championships, which shared the grid for the first time ever here at Silverstone. From the front row, Felix Livesey swept around the outside of Cameron Pratt-Thompson to take the lead on the run down into Maggots and Beckett's for the first time, maybe with a bit of assistance from front runner last year, 5 times a race winner, Harry Gamble. Livesey went through. Gamble tried to follow him, but on the dirty side of the road, just didn't have the grip that he needed. There was then a bit of a touch between he and Cameron Pratt-Thompson, and Harry Gamble slipped right down the order. That there was not the last we would see of that car. There was drama in the GTA class as contact at Abbey sent debutant Connor Blackburn spinning into the gravel trap with a left rear puncture, and that brought about the safety car. Upon the resumption of the race, it was a 3-way battle at the front of the Ginetta GT Championship part of the grid until there was a spin for Louis Darling, who would retire to the pit lane after this moment up at Village. Felix Livesey led for the rest of the way until beginning the final lap. The car slowed dramatically. He was apoplectic with rage, seeing a race victory slip through his fingers, seemingly heading towards his Orion SPR teammate William Antrobus. He slowed on the way to the line though, and it was Harry Gamble who claimed the first win of the year.